everyone, it's Maki. Do you like Gundams that can combine? Double Zeta Gundam and Superior Gundam are units that see action in the Universal Century works. In Gundam, build diverse Ray Rise, a combining mobile suit named Ray Rising Gundam makes an appearance. Today, I'm going to introduce a combining mobile suit that appears in Gundam Seed Destiny. It is the Impulse Gundam, a highly popular main character Gundam. It possesses a silhouette system structure that allows it to exchange equipment, and it masterfully utilizes various weapons depending on the situation. For now, we will focus on explaining the main body of the Impulse Gundam. We will also be producing a show that explains about the silhouette system, so stay tuned. The pilot is Shinasa, an ace pilot of the Soft military. He is a character who wears the red military uniform, which is only allowed to be worn by individuals who graduate with high marks from the military academy. Now, let's explore the secrets of the Impulse Gundam together. In Cosmic Era 73, a new Gundam of the Soft Army was hijacked by an unidentified military force. As the wave of war approaches the world once again, there existed a mobile suit that was not stolen by the enemy. That is this Impulse Gundam. The Impulse Gundam, developed by the Soft Army as a new generation mobile suit, called the Second Stage Series, was the strongest mobile suit of the time, utilizing various new equipment. The first notable feature is the design of its head. It greatly resembles the GTX series, including the Strike Gundam, which achieved significant military results in the battle between the Earth Alliance and the Soft Army that occurred in Cosmic Era 71. But why is this? Previously developed mobile suits like the Freedom Gundam and Justice Gundam were hastily produced during wartime. By analyzing data from the hijacked GTX series, there is a clear reason why the overall design of the Impulse Gundam, not developed during wartime, resembles the GTX series, starting with the design of its head. First and foremost, it is for mechanical reasons. The design becomes similar to that of the Strike Gundam and the Astray series as a result of effectively placing advanced sensors. While this design is functionally superior, it requires significant costs, so it is only adopted for limited units. And there's another reason. It's because technology from the Orb Union is central to its use. Of course, the nation of Orb is not officially cooperating with the Soft Army in the past. When Orb was attacked by the Earth Alliance, many of its citizens migrated to Prant. The people of Prant warmly welcomed the citizens of Orb, providing them with a place to live. More details about this are discussed in the novel version People from Orb. In order to establish their livelihood, live by working with their technology. A lot of technological aid was provided out of goodwill to live and to repay Plant for accepting them. Not only the Impulse Gundam, but also other Second Stage series mobile suits, and even the warship Manava use a lot of Orb's technology. The reason Manava's design greatly differs from other Soft ships is that Orb's technology is central to it. Soft Army's new weapons were completed due to the efforts and sincerity of each engineer. However, depending on the interpretation, this also happens on a scale that can be seen as the nation of Orb cooperating with Soft. At the beginning of Gundam Seed Destiny, Kakuri Uraka offers an unofficial meeting to Gilbert Juno, the top leader of the Prant Council. This was to ask him not to use Orb's technology in the military industry anymore. For which was militarily attacked in the past war for the unreasonable and almost bullying reason of seeing them as enemies because they do not cooperate with the Earth Alliance. The current situation of Org's technology being used in Zaft's new weapons was extremely dangerous. The Impulse Gundam, with such a background, has been injected with groundbreaking new technologies. First is the deuterium beam charging system. It is possible to recharge energy without returning to the mothership by receiving a beam fired from the warship. Although physical entities like bullets cannot be replenished, being able to quickly recharge the energy used for beam weapons was revolutionary. Furthermore, there's the valuable phase shift armor. This uses technology from a new type of battery called power extender, introduced in a mobile suit called Strike Rouge in the previous war. It is technology completed by engineers from Orb migrating to plant. It's technology that enables adjusting the strengths of phase shift armor to numerical values appropriate for the purpose by adjusting the energy supplied to the armor. It allows choices like adjusting to strong armor in preparation for close combat with the enemy, or reducing the strengths of the armor to prioritize energy supplied to cannon fire. Moreover, a combination mechanism called the impulse system is also incorporated. More detailed explanations will be performed in the next block. By using this system, the Impulse Gundam can respond to various situations on its own and can immediately recover from damage to the unit. For the Zaft army, which is inferior to the Earth Alliance army in terms of personnel and materials, the Impulse Gundam is a very powerful unit. Let's talk about the Impulse system. It's a revolutionary system, but at the same time, it's a system that has sparked some debate. First, let's discuss the co-fighter co-splendor, which is central to the system. It was developed with the goal of increasing pilot survival rates. It closely resembles the co-op block system of the original Gundam. Zaft's conventional escape capsules had issues with pilot survival rates. To solve this problem, the co-splendor was equipped with flight capability and defensive combat capability. A major difference from the original Gundam is that the propulsion system of the co-splendor can be used as is as the propulsion system for the Impulse Gundam. In the original Gundam, the co-fighter's propulsion system was hidden within the mobile suit. There is a precedent for this structure in the real world. It is the Gundam Prototype Unit 1 that appeared in 0083 Stardust Memory. By adopting this structure, it is possible to use the propulsion systems of the co-fighter and co-splendor even in mobile suit mode. The co-splendor is equipped with machine guns and missile launchers. The machine guns are installed for self-defense, but controlling the target accurately can make it effective against mobile suit armor. In a scene where the Impulse Gundam battles the Freedom Gundam, the machine guns of the co-splendor blow up the flight equipment, the Force Silhouette. And with this co-splendor at its core, the Impulse Gundam is completed by combining the chest flyer, which becomes the upper half, and the leg flyer, which becomes the lower half. This combination system is indeed the source of debate, because the co-splendor chest flyer and leg flyer are classified as fighter planes. There are opinions stating that it is a measure against the Junius Treaty, which limits the total number of mobile suits. This opinion is stated in issue 126 of a book called Gundam Fact File. However, since no documentation beyond this point contains the same content, the view that it is an error has spread among fans. What do you think? As I've said in previous programs, I think discussing from such unstable settings, a common phenomenon in the Gundam series, can be fun. Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of the original Gundam, as well as Sunrise and Bandai, which hold the rights to Gundam, all welcome fans having their own interpretations. From such circumstances, I think it's wonderful that each fan has various viewpoints. Now, I'll share my personal interpretation. I perceive the co-splendor as the core of the mobile suit, the main body of the Impulse Gundam. I consider the co-splendor to be the Impulse Gundam, and by equipping various options, it becomes an entity capable of flexible operation. It's a viewpoint that sees the co-splendor not as a fighter plane, but officially as a mobile suit. Again, this is purely my personal interpretation. If the co-splendor isn't classified as a mobile suit, it wouldn't be strange for multiple co-splendos to be deployed on the maneuver. The novel version mentions that many people found it unnatural that Shin was given the Impulse Gundam even though Razor had higher abilities as a pilot. If Rei also has high technical abilities, why not deploy an Impulse Gundam for him as well? However, that wasn't possible. That in itself is the basis for the approach of classifying the co-splendor as a mobile suit. Of course, this perspective has its flaws. If there is only one co-splendor, even if there are numerous chest flyers and leg flyers, treating them as a single mobile suit, even if they're in large quantities, might be a rather forceful argument. Courtney Hirias, appearing in the spin-off Destiny Astray, responds like this. The designer's true intentions are unclear. This is my own interpretation, but they might have been aiming for a presence like freedom, which impacted the war situation with a single unit in the previous war. Eventually, it might become possible to control the silhouette flyer with the drop gun system, making it possible to interchange weapons and parts at the pilot's discretion. If so, Impulse would become a formidable force. A similar style of combat is realized in the battle between the Freedom Gundam and Impulse Gundam in Sea Destiny. Not with the drop gun system, but executed with the support of the operator, Marine Hawk. With this tactic, the Impulse Gundam instantly recovers from damage by replacing parts and defeats the Freedom Gundam by swiftly switching arms. The system for exchanging parts of the machine is applied from the structure of the Regenerate Gundam, which self-developed in the past. It was a mobile suit that could be operated similarly to the Impulse Gundam, with a system that allows for instant replacement of parts aside from the core unit. Let's take a look at the equipment used by the Impulse Gundam. While the Impulse Gundam can realize a variety of combat methods thanks to the silhouette system, even the main body alone possesses powerful combat capabilities comparable to its contemporary mobile suits. First up is the AMIG AU-25A 20mm series. This is a Vulcan cannon that uses metallic bullet series. It's a classification that exists in the real world, and it's a weapon system for intercepting close-range missiles and such. While the GAT-X series had Vulcan cannons in their heads, the Impulse Gundam has two installed in its chest, not only for missile interception, but they also shine when attacking thin-armored sections of infantry or enemy machines. A drawback is that being mounted in the chest restricts the firing angle. If fired at close range, it can even penetrate the thick armor around the mobile suit's cockpit within the story. You can confirm that it penetrates the armor of the Dagger L, leaving bullet marks. Next is the S71A folding razor anti-armor knife. These are large knives stored into units on the waist. They were created based on weapon data from the Strike Gundam. The armor Schneider used by the Strike Gundam has a track record of defeating soft army ace pilots and powerful commanders like Andrew Waldfeld and Marco Mohosim. The initial combat that defeated the Jim piloted by ace pilot Miguel Ayman also used an armor Schneider. Taking note and analyzing its effectiveness is a natural outcome. This weapon inflicts damage on enemy armor through its sharp blade and vibration waves generated by vibration. A major feature is that it can be used without utilizing the mobile suit's power, and you can also observe the folding razor continuing to vibrate while impaled into the enemy. Then there's the main weapon, the ABAR-72 high-energy beam rifle. This weapon is an enhancement of the Lucas beam rifle used by the Freedom and Justice. Some sources say it was developed based on the beam rifle of the Savior Gundam, of course, since the Savior Gundam's beam rifle was also developed based on the Lucas beam rifle. Neither view is strange. Because its energy efficiency has improved, it has become more compact than the Lucas beam rifle while maintaining equivalent power. Beam rifles equipped on other second stage series have basically the same structure. Since it is installed as standard equipment on the chest flyer, the Impulse Gundam can handle standard shooting combat, even without equipping a silhouette. Lastly, the equipment for self-defense is the AMI ROG-59B mobile shield. It's coated with a beam coating, enabling it to repel beams. A significant feature is its expansion mechanism. Depending on the equipment, it can be operated as a small shield, so as not to hinder the mobile suit's movement, or it can be widely deployed to secure a larger detonable area. Expandable shield structures have also been equipped on past Gundam series units, like the Gundam Mark II and Gundam Prototype Unit 1. It also symbolizes that Impulse Gundam inherits the lineage of various Gundam series. This shield has significantly different properties from the laminate armor used by the Earth Alliance forces. Laminate armor converts the energy of a beam into heat and displays it to defend this shield. However, is capable of deflecting beams, diverting them away. The shield reflection attack, demonstrated by the Impulse Gundam in its combat against the Freedom Gundam, was an impossible tactic, with the shield adopting laminate coating. It's a scene where you can understand that Shinase understands and applies the characteristics of the unit to the extreme. The Impulse Gundam, being the protagonist of Sea Destiny, was active in various scenes. However, surprisingly, its activities without equipping silhouettes are remarkably scarce. In the predecessor Sea, the Strike Gundam had numerous scenes where it battled without equipping striker packs, but with Impulse Gundam, such scenes are few. While the Strike Gundam was impulsively operated even by a civilian boy in emergencies, it is considered that the fact that the Impulse Gundam was operated with the backup of a regular soldier, and the organization influenced its deployment. The rare actions of the Impulse Gundam in its normal state can be seen in the operation to destruction the long green cannon, utilizing its characteristic of being able to fly in a separated state. It executes a surprise attack from a narrow tunnel into the enemy base. Viewers can clearly see the Corprendos flying through the tunnel, but Shin says it's pitch black. I really have to rely solely on the data. Also, Afram says in a strategy meeting, if Impulse's attack is too slow, Manaho will be cornered. If it's too fast, we can lure the enemy away from the base. Shin had to fly not just safely through the pitch darkness, but also had to adjust his speed appropriately while flying. Soldiers of the Earth Alliance are astonished when a fighter that suddenly appeared on the battlefield combines into a mobile suit, moving as a small fighter and being able to fight as a mobile suit. This scene maximizes the advantages of the Impulse Gundam, a detailed element. But the scene where Atheron's piloted Savior Gundam attacks a Galaxy attempting to intercept the Impulse Gundam is also impressive. Shin was complaining about having to fly alone through the narrow tunnel, but Atheron also managed to get to a position where he could support him, living through the Earth Army's anti-aircraft fire. As the Lohengrin cannon begins to retreat, Shin is destroying the enemy's turret to ensure the objective is met. Reducing the number of enemies isn't a wrong decision. There are scenes where he precisely shoots through the cockpit of a Dagger L. You can understand that Shin is quite a powerful pilot at this point in the story. When Atheron confirms the retreat of the enemy turret, he urges Shin to hurry. It's a collaboration between the Savior Gundam, which has flying ability and can oversee the entire battlefield, and the Impulse Gundam, which has advanced deep into enemy territory. The Impulse Gundam drops its beam rifle due to the explosion of the destroyed Dagger L. While shielding from the Dagger L's beam rifle at close range, it approaches and defeats it with a knife. The Impulse Gundam, releasing its shield and equipping another knife, defeats the Dagger L. Throwing the defeated Dagger L into the turret storage, it destroys it with the chest-mounted cannon. Some may recall the Gundam Formula 91 upon seeing the engine of a mobile suit exploded for offensive use. Despite losing the powerful weapon, the beam rifle Impulse Gundam triumphed due to Shin's quick thinking to utilize the enemy's explosion instantaneously. Today, we've discussed the core unit of the Impulse Gundam. Surprisingly, scenes depicting the Impulse Gundam returning after a battle are not shown. It is unknown whether it will return as a mobile suit and be disassembled by maintenance personnel, or whether it will return to its original state before returning. There is a scene where it appears battered after defeating the Freedom Gundam. It is predictable that separating into its components in this condition could be dangerous. Therefore, it is conceivable that maintenance staff may perform the disassembling work while it's in its combined state. Interestingly, there is some fascinating information about the missile pods that are detached when the Impulse Gundam combines. There is information stating they return to the mothership automatically as much as possible while they don't appear to have prominent thrusters. It's quite an impressive technology. Maybe they return in a skydiving fashion in places where gravity exists, like on Earth. Considering that technology is capable of emitting enough energy to operate a mobile suit, like the deuterium beam transmission system, have been developed, it might not be far-fetched that technology to return missile pods exists as well. The Gundam Seed series intentionally incorporates the merits of past Gundam works to birth a new era of the Gundam series. Seeing the Impulse Gundam receiving the deuterium beam might remind some of you of Gundam X, right? The combination system of the Impulse Gundam might also be thought of as a structure that recreates the combination system of the original Gundam. This combination system is often described as unclear. Why it was planned the original Gundam's combination system was introduced in response to a toy manufacturer's request for a combining robot. Perhaps a company within the soft military adopted it to promote new technology. Now let's practice the combination system of the Impulse Gundam together first. Please press the channel subscribe button and transform the coal splendor. Press the like button and connect with the leg flyer. Hit the bell button and connect with the chest flyer. Now you're an ace of the Tough Tommy too. Well done, let's meet again in the next episode.